You face the boss of blades.
Hello, Planeswalkers. Today we have a deck that is a mono red arms race deck that is a playable deck for the Alchemy format. So the deck is based around this new card called Caldera Breaker from Caverns of Ixalan Alchemy set. It is a 6/6 for 3 and triple red with trample, artifact creature, which is the important part, and a golem. When it enters the battlefield, we exile all mountains from our library, and then we deal that much damage to a creature or planeswalker an opponent controls. When Caldera Breaker dies, we put all of the mountains that we exiled with it onto the battlefield, and then we conjure 4 cards named Volcanic Geyser into our deck and shuffle. Volcanic Geyser is a X and double red instant that deals X damage to any target. So with Caldera Breaker, we want it on the field. We want it to be sent to the graveyard. So the main card we are using for that is a card called Arms Race, a card that I've been trying to break basically since it came out. It is a 3 and a red enchantment for 3 and a red. We can put an artifact card from our hand onto the battlefield. That artifact gains haste, and then we sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. Basically, it is a artifact version of Sneak Attack that costs 3 more to activate. But as long as we do it during a main phase or Declare Attacker's phase, we can put a Caldera Breaker into play, and then at the beginning of the end step, it'll be sacrificed. We put all the mountains into play and shuffle some Volcanic Geysers. Other things that we have to put into play with Arms Race is Portal to Phyrexia, which is a 9-cost artifact. When it hits play, each opponent sacrifices 3 creatures. Now, if we do put it into play at the end step, after the beginning of the end step of an opponent's turn, then we can get the second effect as well, which says at the beginning of our upkeep, we put a creature from a graveyard onto the battlefield under our control, and it is a Phyrexian in addition to its other types. So we get our own little virtue of persistence, basically, but also make our opponent sacrifice 3 creatures. The other card we have is Threefold Thunderhulk, who is a big role player. It is a 0/0 for 7 artifact creature gnome. When it enters the battlefield, it gets 3/1/1 counters. And then when it enters the battlefield or attacks, we create a number of 1/1 colorless gnome artifact creature tokens equal to its power. We can also sack an artifact and pay 2 to put a 1/1 counter on our Threefold Thunderhulk. So it can sometimes act as a sacrifice outlet for our Caldera Breaker. We could also make it into a 6/6 that makes 6 1/1s, and then cumulatively get more and more that it does. Then we are running 4 copies of the Alchemy nerfed the One Ring. We do want some extra turns if we can get it, and also we do want to draw cards, especially after we shuffle copies of Volcanic Geyser into our deck. One Ring does do all of that, and of course protection from everything is pretty good. Then we have Grabby Giant, which is an adventure card. Its adventure side lets us create a treasure at instant speed, which will let us potentially go into a turn 3 arms race, turn 4 activation. But it is also a creature that is a 4/3 for 4 with reach, and we can pay 2 and a red, sack an artifact or land to draw a card. That works pretty well with the Threefold Thunderhulk by being able to sacrifice the gnome tokens to turn them into draw, turning extra lands that we get after Caldera Breaker into draw as well. And worst case scenario, if we do have one out, and for some reason we also have 2 in a red, we can act as a sack outlet for a Caldera Breaker to break the first one. Then we are running 4 copies of Brotherhood's End, which is a very nice sweeper, probably I think the only good sweeper for red decks in Alchemy format. For 1 and 2 red, we choose to either destroy all artifacts with mana value 3 or less, or we deal 3 damage to each creature and each planeswalker. There is some weird matchups where you would want to destroy all artifacts, but a lot of the time you're just doing it for the 3 damage to each creature and planeswalker. Then we have 4 copies of Volcanic Spite. 1 and a red instant, deal 3 damage to a creature, planeswalker, or battle. Then we can put a card from our hand onto the bottom of our library and draw a card. Very good post Caldera Breaker to potentially try and get into those Volcanic Geysers. We can also use it to try and get something in hand. It's one of the few things that serves a multi-purpose role. It is both draw and also removal. Then we are running 1 copy of the Iron Crag. We do not have any legendary creatures, so it is simply a 2-cost artifact that taps for colorless. We don't really want to draw multiples of it, so we are running just the one. It does let us get into a potential turn 3 arms race into a turn 4 activation. Then there is a very important role player here is Torch the Tower. For red, in an instant, we can bargain to make it deal 3 damage and scry 1. Otherwise, it deals 2 damage to a creature or planeswalker. And if a permanent is dealt damage by Torch the Tower, and if it would die, it is exiled. Instead, a lot of the time, we will try and do Caldera Breaker and have a Torch the Tower in hand so that we can sacrifice it to the cost of Torch the Tower. And since it is sacrifice's cost, our opponent will not have a chance to respond to the trigger of Caldera Breaker dying, thus putting all of our mountains into play. For lands, we have 24 mountains, obviously. And then one last card is Fear Fire Foes. So the main reason for this is if our opponent puts up the One Ring, we can't deal them damage. But with Fear Fire Foes, we actually can deal them damage because damage cannot be prevented this turn, which is exactly what the One Ring does do. It prevents the damage. So with Fear Fire Foes, we would be able to deal damage to our opponent. And also, it is a little mini sweeper that deals 1 damage to each other creature that your opponent controls, and also deals a certain number of damage to a singular creature. So that is Mono Red Arms Race, featuring the new card Caldera Breaker. And now to play some games and show off how cool this deck is. Alright, let's see how it does. So we have a Brotherhood, we have a Grabby Giant, a Thunder Hulk, and a Portal. We do have some early game, and if we draw an arms race, we do have a lot of things that we can play off of it. But we are also going first, and I do not like usually mulliganing going first. Get some more lands. Okay, they're playing some kind of combo deck, doing Assemble the Teams. Okay, we're going to go ahead and make a treasure. Another land for us. Passing it back. Tap land, we get another land. Pass it back. That's pretty cool. Okay, we do have an arms race here, so that could be really good. That is what we were waiting for. They have a Rusko, okay. And they got a Mox. Attacking and getting their scry. Ouchie. Clock triggers. We are going to do nothing at the moment because we want to do an arms race at EOT for our opponent, more than likely. So, passing the turn back. Clock gets the counter. Our opponent's in for quite the surprise here. Putting the stop during our opponent's turn so that we get to put the portal to Phyrexia into play during their end step after the beginning of their end step phase, so it does not get sacrificed to the arms race. Taking a little bit of damage. They play out another creature. So that is perfect. Because now we can trigger our arms race. And put Portal to Phyrexia into play. All 3 of their creatures will be sacrificed. And yeah, that's pretty good. I'm going to put the clock counter, and I'm going to get my own Rusko. Which would give me my own midnight clock. And I'm at the point I could just start hard casting copies of Thunderhulk if I wanted, but I'm pretty good. I'll just put one into play. It'll get some little golems, and can't be countered because they need to counter the ability. And they're out. Yep. Alright. Another game. Let's see. One ring, couple brotherhoods, and a towards the tower. It's not bad. It's a couple sweepers and a one ring. Second one ring could be good. Okay, there's some kind of weird white deck, I guess? I don't know. Treasure map. Some kind of crazy artifact. White deck. I might be doing Brotherhood's End and doing the destroy artifacts part. Looking like. Get a land. Playing out the one ring. And yeah, unfortunately we don't get the free draw here, but we do get the protection. See what our opponent's gonna do here. Okay, playing another Norns. Doing their treasure map. Yeah, it's kind of too good not to Brotherhoods here. So yeah, we're gonna play our mountain. We're gonna Brotherhoods, destroy artifacts. All three of their artifacts will be destroyed. Passing the turn back. Have towards the tower, mana up. And we can also use the mana to get a draw off the one ring. Elesh Norn. That's an interesting one. Yeah, we're gonna get a draw with the ring. Cool. Hey, I do not like this Elesh Norn. Take a damage. Fear Fire foes. Could Fear Fire foes and then just take out just the Elesh Norn with it? I think that's pretty good. Yep. We'll take two, but we have one card deal with the Elesh Norn here. Another Norn, I guess it's an Elesh Norn tribal deck or something. Okay, take damage from the one ring, Volcanic Spite. Let's get a couple draws. Drop a mountain, put in the arms race. Seems pretty good. Okay, they have Reprieve, so no arms race for us, unfortunately. Card's so good. Okay, they got that base, that's the base card. 4/4 that makes little dudes. Alright. It's my turn. One ring. There it is. Caldera Breaker. They don't have Reprieve mana, I believe. So we do get our Caldera Breaker, put all of our mountains under it, shoot their guy. They get a counter on their Norn's thing. And now let's see how they deal with this, because they are in white, so they could have lay down arms or something. pass in turn, see what they do. Alright, they have to lay down arms, so we're going to do a pro gamer move. We are going to bargain, targeting our own Caldera Breaker, sacrificing the Caldera Breaker to cost, and then we will get all of our mountains into play, and our Torch Tower will actually fizzle, but so will their lay down arms. And now we have a ton of mountains into play, and an active the One Ring that we can use to start drawing some cards and try and take our opponent out with a volcanic geyser. We also have another ring in hand too. They're making dudes. Using the ring. Alright, taking some damage from the ring. Play a Portal to Phyrexia. Why not? Make them sack their stuff. Don't really care about that. Get a couple scries. Oh no. Using the One Ring. I guess they're tapping it to get a draw. There's a geyser. Playing another One Ring to reset our damage. And we could just throw stuff out there because otherwise we're just discarding it anyway. Throw out the Thunderhulk, get a couple dudes, pass it back, so keep some stuff in hand. Don't really need Grabby Giants at this point. We have a geyser to take our opponent out. Regal Bunnycorn. Assert dominance. We're going to take out the Bunnycorn. Send it to the exile. Now it's our turn. I'm not gonna do the One Ring, no real point. No, the risk is our opponent's last card in hand could be a reprieve, but we're gonna bank on it not being one. But Portal will give us a 6/6 Trampler for free. And assert dominance. Do a giant volcanic geyser, targeting our opponent. 420 and exact lethal. Alright, here is another game. We got the Thunderhulk, couple Grabby Giants, Brotherhood, some mountains. It's okay. I'd like to have an arms race here, but it's got land. It has potential ramp. There's some kind of crazy blue deck, but there is an arms race. Picklock Prankster. Grabs them in Impulse. Not particularly good against us, that land. We're gonna go for it, see if we can get a treasure. And we do get the treasure. There's a One Ring. Do I just go for an arms race? Yeah, I figured that much. So Arms Race is countered, but this is likely some kind of control deck. I don't particularly think Arms Race is super relevant in this particular match. There's the Picklock Prankster. Cool. Play a land. Could just like go for the Grabby Giant or something. But taking one. Going for another treasure. Getting the treasure. Playing the one Raain. They let us. Okay, there's a hard counter spell. There's the impulse. Imperial Spell Dancer, interesting. They're gonna be running out of counters eventually, right? Going for a Grabby Giant. See if it resolves. It does block all of their stuff, so they might not let it get through. Going for another Picklock. Okay. Grabby Giant does resolve. But there is an unsummon, they're gonna bounce it. Passing it back. Playing out the Pickpocket. And take a little bit of damage. Kuro Spell Dancer triggers. So the next instant or sorcery they cast, they get 2 of it. Picklock, Prankster, so they get to double Prankster here. You get some more card draw. Alright, there is an Iron Crag. We're just gonna go try and get this Brotherhood end. And it does resolve, clearing their board. Playing the Iron Crag. It gets countered. We don't actually care about it, but I do want a permanent mana source on board rather than the treasure, so we will sack the treasure to keep the Iron Crag. Playing out another Picklock. Getting a couple draw. They're starting to run out of stuff, and that's good for us, because they look like they're some kind of blue tempo deck. Getting some draw. Alright, Fear Fire Foes. It's okay. We're gonna go for the Grabby Giant. And it does resolve. And we're gonna pass it back. Grabby Giant being an excellent blocker because it does have reach. Hadi Djinn. That's big. Getting some more draw. Go for making some more treasure. And they're gonna counter it. Okay. Well, I think we got most of their counter spells out of the way, to be honest. But we are gonna go for the Fear of Fire Foes on the Hadi Djinn, because that is just too much of a threat to our life total at the moment. They do not have an answer to that, so Djinn goes down, not attacking. Get an island. Looking like they're running out of stuff. We're gonna go for the 3-fold Thunder Hulk here. It does actually resolve, surprisingly enough. So we do have ourselves a Thunder Hulk. There's our friend, Caldera Breaker, off the top. Let's see if we can get it to resolve. I do hope so. Caldera Breaker does resolve, putting all the mountains under itself, targeting the Picklock. Picklock goes down. We are gonna just not take any chances. Sack the Caldera Breaker to our Thunder Hulk to put all of these mountains into play. And yeah, we're pretty good here. We're gonna go ahead and sack some golems, buff up the Thunder Hulk so that we get more golems when it attacks. And we may as well just attack. Get 6 golems. We take the damage. Go to 9. And yeah, we're just gonna go for a portal to Phyrexia at this point. They make us pay an extra 2, which we have with their last card in hand, and they're out. Caldera Breaker beating control.